Alright, what's up, y'all? This is actually going to be a voiceover instead of a live commentary because sometimes when I'm playing this game, I'm just kind of chilling. I don't really talk that much when I'm not playing this game, honestly. So, yeah, sometimes I just play this game and I'm kind of not really trying to be super energetic. So this is a voiceover. I started with the Jinx, or I wanted the rod, but I settled for the belt. I started with the, not Jinx, I started with the Singed. This, spoiler alert, this will be a Jinx game in case the thumbnail didn't tell you. Jinx, I think, is, Jinx isn't a good primary carry right now, but I want to try to figure out how to make her one. So that's kind of what this game is. Here, so, this game, like, in this patch, I got a text, sorry, I need to turn off my phone. This patch, you want to try to start with some type of econ generation early game because this is a fast 8 patch. You want to go level 8 as soon as you can, really. And Yordles are the easiest early game econ to do, so I always try to pick up Poppies, Lulus, Heimerdingers, Ziggs at in stage 1. And here I'm looking at what trait to take. Some people really like Enforcer Heart. I've actually seen high elo players start to go Enforcer Heart pretty commonly, but item grab bag's always good. It's very rare that you get an item that's like unusable, really, especially when you get a first augment. Like if you get a third augment, then yeah, sometimes you get an item that kind of sucks, but first augment, or worse, you get like a duplicate item. If you get a second Morello or a second Sunfire Cape, that really sucks. But first augment, it's almost always really good to choose item grab bag because there aren't really bad items in this game. There are optimal items, but there aren't really bad items. Like Shojin is a good item. It's just not an optimal item on a lot of comps. Like if you slam a Shojin on a Caitlyn, like at this point I was actually thinking maybe this is a Ligmaw game because I have Caitlyn, Kassadin, Kog'Maw, Garen Graves, and like there I see Guardian Angel immediately. No question I'm running Guardian Angel here. And then I have 3 Yordle. So I'm trying to decide what exactly I want to play here. And so here I'm looking and I'm like, I want to play Yordles, and I think it's worth it to just level up and play Yordles because Yordles essentially give you the econ of having 10 gold. So, well, on average, they theoretically give you the econ of having, like, really 15 gold if you got econ for less than 10 interval breakpoints. So it's almost always worth it to level up to put in a Yordle if you are below 10 gold. Like, literally all the time it's worth it. So here, I level up, play a Yordle. I lose this fight because this guy has a lot of assassins, and he has a Giant Slayer Twitch, which is really strong early game, actually. It would have been stronger on Talon, but it's strong on Twitch, too. So, we get a Graves 2, and I'm looking, I'm like, this board has nice synergies, but Graves 2... What am I doing right now? I might have, like, gotten a text or something. I'm probably reading a text. But Graves 2 is an obvious take from me. Vi is a really strong unit in general. Ezreal's a scrap. Pretty much Caitlyn is the odd one out here. I decided to put in Ezreal instead of Graves because I wanted scrap. And I ended up getting actually a good scrap item here, so that wasn't a bad choice, but I don't think I win this because, like, Ezreal just isn't as good as... Ezreal 1 is not as good as Graves 2. Like, I should have played Graves 2 here. But sometimes you get greedy for, traits and you just play something that you know you probably shouldn't have. Oh, actually I won it anyway. It didn't matter. But I think I would have won it easier with Graves 2. So here we get a Vex. Vex is awesome to get early game. Synergies with Ziggs really easily. So I just dropped a Lulu for Vex. And here I'm thinking, what do I play? I'm thinking, do I econ here or do I level? That's what I'm thinking right now. And I decided to just play this board because, you know, I'm like, why not? I got Trap Claw again, which is perfect against Blitzcrank, but this guy is running, he's level 5, with level 2 Caitlyn and Ezreal and Bodyguard. I kill maybe 2 units here. Like, I'm just not strong enough to beat this guy. Even if I leveled, played Graves, and had Kog'Maw on my team, I still don't think I would have beat this guy. Excuse me. Oh yeah, do-rag's on because my braids are getting a little old at this point. I need to take them out and I just haven't yet. By the way, if you got this far in the video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'm planning to upload 3 to 5 videos a week. I work full time, so I don't know if I can hit Challenger, but I am a Master Tier player. This is my lower rank account. It's Diamond. No, not Diamond. I don't think it's Diamond yet. I think this game I promoted to Plat 1, maybe? I don't know. This is Plat 2, Plat 1, maybe it's Diamond 4. I don't remember what rank it is, but my main account is Master Tier, and I play on that one too. I try to get games on each account. This one is more of an experimental account. Here I build Morellonomicon because Morellonomicon is the best item this patch, and I'm looking at this board, I'm like, Ezreal doesn't proc Morellonomicon, and he's level 1. I have a Graves 2. These items actually look pretty good for Graves, so I'm just gonna throw Graves in there instead. I didn't get the Vex up front, unfortunately. But against this board, Graves is significantly better than Ezreal. I think a lot of people don't really realize how tanky Graves is. Graves is like... Graves has more health than Garen. Graves has more health than pretty much... I think he might be the healthiest one cost in the game. He's really, really tanky. Here I want this Echo, for sure. Like, I'm like, I need to play this Echo. How do I play this Echo? I was thinking here of potentially selling the Graves and just putting the items on Echo, because these are amazing Echo items, but I decide against it. I just level up and play Echo. I was thinking also maybe I should sell Graves and put the GA and Shojin on Tristana. But it's Tristana 1. At the end of the day, I just decide, let's keep Graves. I mean, it's Graves 2. Graves 2 is very, very strong. Echo hard counters Trundle, so we're not too worried about this guy. And then Graves gets a double cast on the Ezreal and Caitlyn. The Morello burn is pretty thick. Gets another cast because Shojin is awesome. And I win this fight. So now I'm deciding what should I sell. And I decide to sell the double Lulu instead of the double Tristana for some reason, because I really want to play Tristana with Shojin right now. This is something you should always do every time you get a Socialite, which will usually be Taric. You want to just buy it and put it in for a second. You don't want to take out Mercenaries if you're playing Mercenaries, because if you take out the Mercenary chest, you lose the Mercenary loot. But you want to buy the Taric and just put him in the game to see where the Socialite Hex is, because a lot of the times the Socialite Hex will dictate whether you can play certain comps. Like there is, right now the Kaisa comp is kind of the strongest comp in the game, and Kaisa with 3 Socialite, you don't even need Challenger or Mutant, depending on the Mutant you want Mutant, but you don't need Mutant. So Kaisa with 3 Socialite is very strong, but it's only really strong if the Socialite Hex is in one of the back 2 rows. So this is a good Kaisa Hex right now, is what I'm trying to say essentially. And the only way you can really play Victor and win right now is with 2 to 3 Socialite. So Victor is also a possibility this game, because I do have a Shojin, I do have a GA. Morello isn't a great item on Victor, but it works. But right now, I'm actually very healthy. Level 5 with 44 gold and 88 HP coming out of creeps is like huge. Like, I am very, very healthy right now. This guy has Lissandra with Morello, so his board is really strong, and he has He has Bruisers, and he has Chemtex, but Graves hard counters Warwick and Trundle, so I win this because I have Graves. And here I should have sold Heimerdinger and Tristana to get to that 50 gold breakpoint, but I was like, it's 1 gold, I don't really care. And I rolled a second Heimerdinger, so I'm like, maybe I just play Heimerdinger 2 with these items. Heimerdinger is very good with Shojin. Heimerdinger is really good with any mana item, really. I play Blitz because he gives Bodyguard. And here I'm trying to decide where do I put Blitz. I want him to be next to Graves, so Graves can hopefully just smack whoever he hooks really quickly. And kind of eliminate one of the main threats. So this guy is actually another, like, Graves hard counters a lot of boards, and Graves is one of the reasons that the Ligmaw build is actually so powerful, because Graves is the only reason that Ligmaw has a chance to beat challengers. There, Twitch autoed through the smoke screen because he has because his ability autos through. It's an ability; it doesn't necessarily count as an auto. Here, I'm looking at these and I'm like, okay, the Socialite Hex is in the back row, so I don't really want Knife's Edge. First Aid Kit is good. Phony Frontline is meh. I don't usually take Phony Frontline. I take Phony Frontline if it's Darkstar Demons. Darkstar Mutants, not Demons. Darkstar is when the mutants die. They gain AP and AD. That's the main time that I take Phony Frontline, because the Phony Frontline units count as units that die, so they stack with the Darkstar buff. But here, I don't even think I don't know if I've looked at Mutant this game. So, yeah, we're not playing that. We put the bow on Echo because we have Scrap. But what I was thinking with the first aid kit here is, because it increases healing and shielding on your units, I was thinking, okay, I have Scrap right now, so first aid kit Scrap is not a bad idea. I play Janna on pretty much every board. Like, I don't know if there's a board that I don't play Janna this patch, so, like, might as well take it. First aid kit's always a good thing. You know, whether you're playing Janna, Ori, whether you're playing a Bloodthirster, whether you get Celestial, whether you're playing Seraphine, like, it's just good. First aid kit is never a bad augment, and I think it's actually a pretty underrated augment, because there are a lot of units that do some kind of healing, like Mundo even. Mundo works with first aid kit. Omnivamp Mutant works with first aid kit. All of the enchanters have some kind of healing or shielding buff to them. They work with first aid kit. Who else? Scrap Shield works with first aid kit. Bloodthirster, Redemption work with first aid kit. Here I took the Cloak because I'm like, okay, I want Runons, I guess. Because I'm thinking these items are probably... Well, I'm wanting to run Jinx. Jinx is the ideal thing that I play this at this point. Like, I'm kind of trying to force Jinx. That's why I'm still running Graves at this point, because I wanted to force a 4 twin-shot Jinx, but obviously you can't hit Jinx at 6, so I don't have Jinx yet. Forcing comps is never good. Like, it's never a good thing to force a comp, but it's something you can do. Like, it's not the worst thing, but it's not a good thing. You'll usually lose trying to force comps. Unless you're forcing, like, a kind of easy comp, like the cat comp a couple patches ago. That was a good comp to force. So this guy, I was a little confused about this guy, because he has a Gangplank, and he has Ascension, but I expected him to have Mercenary, because he's at 0 gold at level 7, so I guess he was too low and he just decided he needed to stabilize. But I think going all in at level 7 like that, it pretty much makes sure that you can never place first. And some games you can't place first. Like, there are some games where there's no way you can really win. You just have to try to lose as gracefully as possible. You have to try to lose at top 4. Some games you're going for top 6. So maybe this guy looked at his board, looked at everything that was going on, and was like, I just need to stabilize and try to place top 4. That might be what he was doing. But if he wants to win, you pretty much can't win rolling to 0 at 7 on this patch. Unless you hit like 3-star, I don't know, 3-star something. So here, I'm realizing that my Blitzcrank is kind of in a bad spot because he's hooking things and getting Graves to cast on solo units instead of on grouped up units. So it's really bad. Like, I'm losing because of that. I lost this round as bad as I did because of that. And that guy had 2 Morellonomicons. It was because of his item grab bag, but still, that's kind of unfortunate for him. So I'm playing Lissandra here. Lissandra's just a good unit. Here, I'm taking out my Yordles for some reason. Oh, I'm just replacing my Yordles. That's what I'm doing. Because I already have 2 scraps, so I'm like, nah, I don't need Ziggs anymore. He's missing a lot of ults. It doesn't really matter. And here we have another GA, and we roll a lucky Yuumi here. Yuumi is really good. So here I've decided I'm done with Yordles. I can't run Yordles anymore, or I don't want to run Yordles anymore, really. I'm playing Vi, and I'm looking at my board. I'm like, okay, I have another GA. I have to make Runons here, and then I make the GA on Echo, and I was thinking about putting a belt, but I already have Morello on Graves, so there's no reason to really do that. So I'm just holding on here. That's a Zephyr if I really want to use it. Thinking of Lux as a mid-game transitional piece because I do have Scholar, and Lux works really well with Scholar. Any caster unit works really well with Scholar. So here I positioned... Did I position my Blitz differently? I don't know. But Graves is getting much higher value ults, so I'm not losing nearly as badly this round. Or, looks like I still lost pretty badly, actually. But Graves got really high value ults there. And now I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I was just like 80 HP a couple rounds ago. Now I'm 55. I got to change something. Graves isn't doing it anymore. So, Lux gives me Academy. And I just throw these items on Lux because I'm like, Lux is probably a better carry than Graves at this point.
Yep. Glass is half empty.
I play the Vex for Arcanist. And the Vi wasn't giving me any synergies anyway. This guy has Jinx, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. I was hoping he had Jinx. I'm surprised this guy's actually playing as Jinx. He has... Is that 4 scrap? I don't know what this guy's board is, actually looking at it right now, even. It's kind of weak. I don't know what he's playing. I think he's kind of not sure what he's playing either. He has Assassin and he has Ascension, but he doesn't have an Assassin Spat, so he doesn't have Assassin Jinx. Echo 2, and we hit a second Lux here. I would take Lux 2 if I got it, but I'm not too worried about Lux 2. Lux has been kind of steadily nerfed since this set came out. I think she got nerfed 2 straight patches, maybe 3 straight patches. Either her or her traits got nerfed in some way. It was either her Academy or I think Arcanist might have been nerfed one time, but Lux was great at the beginning of this patch. She's not great now. Like, she's good right now as a transitional piece for my board, but like a late game Lux almost never wins. Like right now her laser is perfectly lined up. Well, it was perfectly lined up to hit pretty much everyone on this board, so it was good, but yeah. Oh, this guy has Jinx too. So I'm looking and there are 2 people with Jinx already, and I'm like, huh, well, it looks like this is probably a Kaisa game because I've already seen 2 Jinxes. Looking at this, Tahm Kench is so strong right now, and I'm thinking, oh my god, please give me Tahm Kench, but there's no way I get Tahm Kench. And then both these guys pass up Tahm Kench. The little Thunderbolt sprite guy, he doesn't even want anything. He didn't pick up any item. And the second guy didn't want Tahm Kench. I'm like, what is going on? What lobby am I in right now? Because Tahm Kench is so valuable. Such a valuable unit right now. Like, he is... I'd say Tahm Kench is probably the second best unit in the game right now. Like, Kaisa's number 1 right now. And then Tahm Kench is number 2. How do I play Seraphine? Here's what I'm thinking. So, I took out Vex because... I think Seraphine's better than Vex. We got Lissandra too, which is good. We put Seraphine in the corner because we want Seraphine to have an angle where she can hit as many of the enemy or friendly units as possible. We're thinking of playing 2 or 3 socialites here, so it's good. And then we hit the Jinx. This is what we were really looking for the whole time. Very happy to hit that. Lux actually targeted the Kaisa here twice in a row, which is amazing. I think that's another reason that Kaisa is so strong right now. It's because Lux is so weak. Like, Lux is very weak in this current patch, and Lux kind of counters Kaisa because she targets the furthest unit, and Kaisa usually dashes to a pretty safe spot on the board. The fact that I won this round is kind of surprising to me. I think it was First Aid Kit. First Aid Kit works on Yuumi shield too. Like, First Aid Kit is a very sneaky, powerful augment because Yuumi triggers it. Lissandra's... Oh, here I'm looking, I'm like, all of these are very good. Celestial is great because you can get healing with 2 Socialite. Binary is, like, super, super good just because it's a great augment. And I'm thinking, I'm like, what should I run here? And I choose Binary because I'm playing Scrap, and I think Binary works really well with Jinx. So here I'm selling this. I make that item on Tahm Kench. I feed him, and we're doing... I'm thinking of selling Echo here. But I want to feed Echo to Tahm Kench, so I kind of don't want to sell him. And throw that on Echo. So Lissandra has really good items right now. Lissandra is my carry currently. I mean, Tahm Kench is my real carry, but Lissandra's my, I guess, secondary carry. I don't know. I don't know who's primary. I don't know who's secondary. They're both carries right now. They're both very strong. Tahm Kench works really well against these, like, solo frontline boards that aren't running Colossus. Because, like, Leona is normally just such a difficult unit to deal with. I mean, I still lose here because his board is pretty strong. Like, he has a very strong board right now. But Tahm Kench works very well against that type of frontline, the solo frontline. Unless it's Galio or something. So I feed the Echo 2 to him because I want that juicy AP boost. And I'm looking at these, I'm like, okay... So I definitely want the GA and Runons on Jinx because I'm trying to figure out how to make Jinx work. The Shojin, I'm not sure where to put because I need the binary proc for Lissandra. Excuse me, my nose is a little stuffy. So I'm looking and I'm like, okay, so what I want here is probably just a Seraphs on Tahm Kench. And then I'm unfortunately stuck with another Morellonomicon, which is not ideal. But I'm like, okay, where do I put the Shojin? And I kind of forget for a long time that I have Seraphine on my board. Like, Seraphine's really good. And what I didn't even realize in this moment right now is that I'm playing 3 Scholar. Like, putting in the Janna doesn't do anything because I actually have... Putting in the Janna doesn't do anything because I actually have Scholar Scrap already, and oh, it does give me Enchanter, which I guess is okay, but it doesn't really do much. And here, like, I'm looking at my board and I'm like, huh, Jinx actually did a lot of damage, and she doesn't have Twin Shot or Sister right now. I got Seraphine 2 there. Seraphine 2 with First Aid Kit is amazing. And I'm looking at my board, I'm like, where do I put the... Oh my gosh. That was terrifying even to watch a second time around. Like, you never want, when you switch a unit with Tahm Kench, you never want to put that unit in place of Tahm Kench. You always want to put Tahm Kench in place of the other unit, because you can accidentally feed something to Tahm Kench. And if I fed my Jinx there, like, that would have been the most tragic thing in the world. Here, I still haven't realized that, that Janna would, Janna doesn't really do anything for me. One thing that is crazy about binary airdrop, though, that I think a lot of people don't know, it works with scrap. So the scrap shield that you get, it triggers off binary airdrop. So you get a bonus, like right now I'm getting a bonus. What is that? I have 3 units proccing binary airdrop right now, which gives me another full item, which is another 6 components. So I have another 6 components worth of scrap shield. That's why my units have such high shields right now. Lissandra's doing a lot of damage right now, and I just upgraded my Janna, so I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why do I have this on the board? But I don't have anything else to really put her in for, and I realized I've been stupid, and I have a Seraphine. Like, why have I not put Shojin on Seraphine? I just put Morello on her, because what else am I going to put on her? I could have waited for Tahm Kench to farm me an item, but I don't think that's the best choice right now. Seraphine goes off. Seraphine is doing a ton of damage. Jinx pops. And this Jinx still has no twin shot, no sister. Just standard Jinx doing this much damage. Like, as a primary carry, I still think Jinx is not very good. But as a secondary carry, Jinx is sneaky. So I look at the Jinx, I'm like, I really don't want that because I already have 2 Morellonomicons. The item is actually worthless on my board right now. So I'm looking, I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm one of the later rotations, so it doesn't really matter what I want. I'm just going to take what I can get anyway. And here, I'm looking, I really wanted that, the, whatever that thing's called. God, what is that thing called? The Giant Slayer. Because Giant Slayer is pretty much best in slot on Jinx, so I would have sacrificed the binary proc for a Giant Slayer actual item. And here I am playing Vi instead of Blitz because I would rather have the Janna than the Blitz. Vi gives me Bruiser Sister. Bruiser Sister. Does Vi have another trait? I did that to get binary airdrop on Vi. But Bruiser Sister, Enforcer, that's the other one. She doesn't give me Enforcer yet, but she gives me Bruiser and Sister, which is much better than just having a Blitz that doesn't give me Bodyguard, Scrap, or Protector. So there are actually a lot of 3 trait units this patch. And Vi with Jinx actually is like kind of scary in the amount of damage it outputs. Like, look at that. Look at the damage graph after this fight. Vi did the 2nd most damage on my team. Vi is a 2-cost unit with 1.5 items. I mean, technically 3 items because binary airdrop, or 2.5. But a 2-cost unit did that much damage. Like, Vi, when you put Sister on her, I'm pretty sure... yeah, this guy rolled 130 gold level 8 for Kaisa and didn't hit. I mean, this patch is about Kaisa, but, like, if you're rolling for 1 unit at level 8, like, look at the odds here. You have a 5% chance to roll a 5 cost. If you roll 130 gold, what's that, like 65 rolls? So in 65, well, it's 5% per, like, the numbers add up to it not being that likely that you're hitting Kaisa, especially when everyone else is looking for it, is what I'm trying to say. This guy has an unused Academy spat. I don't know what he's saving that for. But yeah, we're beating all the Kaisa boards with this build right now. And this patch is Kaisa sweepstakes patch. That's what I was saying earlier. Frozen Heart is a good item. I honestly really like to put Frozen Heart on Yuumi, because Yuumi lives so long, and Yuumi attaches herself to your lowest health unit. So Yuumi is almost always going to attach herself to something that's going to be in range to affect something with Frozen Heart. if that makes sense. I don't think I worded that well. But Yuumi will always be close enough to affect something with the Frozen Heart. So I think Frozen Heart is, like, I think Yuumi items, you don't really need items for Yuumi. I'm doing this for Binary Airdrop. I put the Rod on Yuumi for Binary Airdrop. That's why I didn't make the Seraphs on, or Archangels on Vi. And blue buff is best in slot on Vi, so I want to wait for Tahm to try to farm me another tier if I can. But yeah, Yuumi getting Frozen Heart is, I think, best in slot Yuumi items are actually Redemption, which I rolled here, and then Frozen Heart and Warmogs for Yuumi. So look at that Yuumi shield. The Yuumi and Scrap shield is actually ridiculous on Tahm. It's more than his base health, which is like 1200. And Jinx has like a second health bar with how much binary Scrap does for her. So like right now we are disgustingly strong. Jinx rolled Shojin, which kind of sucks, but we still won. Even with a Shojin Jinx, we won that one. I mean, we do have, what is that? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 binary units. Like, so that means we have an extra 12 items to proc Scrap. And I think 2 Scrap is 20 shield per component. So if you have 12, that's 240 shield that you're getting just from Binary Airdrop. And like, that's huge. That's so much. So here I'm putting Tahm Kench on the Socialite Hex because Jinx can only ult one time. So the mana charging thing actually is kind of wasted on Jinx, and it would be better if I had 3 Socialite instead of 2. Jinx goes off, she kind of landed in a bad spot. Wait, where is my Jinx? Yeah, that, or is that his Jinx? No, my Jinx landed in a bad spot. But the RFC helped me kill the Kaisa there. So here I'm just kind of waiting for Tahm Kench or Jinx. Really what I'm thinking is my board is strong enough to go 9, so I'm waiting to go level 9. This guy hit Kaisa too, which is a little scary, but not that scary. Feed Tahm Kench to get more AP, he has almost 300% AP. What I like to do with Tahm Kench in terms of what I'm feeding him, I like to get him between 250 and 300% AP, and then I start to feed him health. It depends though. If I get him 2-starred early, I will, I guess I do it anyway. Like, if I get him 2-starred earlier, I like to feed him to 250% and then start feeding him health. If I do not get him 2-starred earlier, I like to feed him to around 300 to 350% and then start feeding, well, not 350, around 300% and then start feeding him health. Here, it looks like my board might lose, and yes, I do lose here. But Tahm Kench gave me a ton of money, so now I can just level up. And this guy was looking for a Kaisa, but the Kaisa rolled to me, so this guy's just kind of out of luck. Like, at that point, what are you going to do? Like, I just got Kaisa. And there, I was waiting for Kaisa to... Oh my god, I did it again. Like, that is... It's scary even to watch as a replay when that happens, because it's like such a close thing. Like, you do the slightly wrong thing and you mess up a lot. There's another Jinx. And there's Jinx 2. That actually gave me Enforcer, so that wasn't bad. But this guy got really lucky and actually rolled a Trap Claw. Or not Trap Claw, he rolled a Shroud. And he got my entire team with it. And I'm like, wait, he got a Shroud? When did he get a Shroud? I didn't even realize he got it from Scrap, but he did. So my team is like... My team is stronger than his, but he had a very, very good Shroud. Thief's Glove there. And I'm down to 2 HP off that. I'm like, oh my god, wait, he beat me. When did he get Trap Claw? So here, before you upgrade Tahm Kench, you always want to try to double feed him, because I couldn't double feed him there because I didn't have enough gold to feed both of the things and buy him. But Tahm Kench will combine the bonus that he has of both the one on the board and the one off the board. So if you have 2 Tahm Kenches and one has 150% AP, one has 110% HP, they'll combine to give 160% AP to the Tahm Kench too. So you want to try to double feed him. There I was moving around my units to avoid the Shroud, but he didn't roll Shroud this time. So here I'm not in danger of losing really, even though this guy's board's really good. But he has a Victor with Infinity Edge and no, what's the thing called? Yeah, like he didn't roll Shroud this time, and I spread out my units a little more so they weren't all affected by it, even if he did roll it. But he had a Victor with Infinity Edge and no Jeweled Gauntlet, so he didn't really do damage. Like, Victor is probably the worst 5 cost this patch, by the way. But, good game. If you made it this far, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.